Once they see that resistance is possible, how long will your empire last? It was a checkmate. Velmo, the emergency session of the Galactic Council began 12 hours after the battle. This time, Admiral Taman sat at the center table, not standing as a petitioner. Beside him was Ambassador Hyejin, who had arrived on a fast ship from Earth. Above them, transmitted by hologram, Dr. Yunji prepared to present her findings. The Grand Chamber was different now. Before, it had been full of confident, comfortable beings who believed they ruled an eternal empire. Now everyone looked nervous. They had seen what humans could do. They had watched their fleet disabled in minutes. Some council members would not even look at the humans. High Arbiter Velmora sat on her platform, but she no longer seemed so powerful. She looked tired, defeated. Around her, other senior council members whispered among themselves, arguing about what to do. "This session will come to order," Velmora said, her voice lacking its earlier authority. "The human delegation has requested to speak. We will hear them." Dr. Yunji's hologram appeared above the center table. She looked professional and calm, like she was giving a university lecture instead of explaining how an empire fell. "Honored council members," she began. "Over the past weeks, I have studied your civilization extensively. I have analyzed your technology, your history, your methods of governance. What I discovered explains everything." A hologram appeared beside her, showing a timeline spanning 12,000 years. "The Galactic Council rules through a simple strategy. Identify species that develop space travel, evaluate their potential threat level, and either destroy them or intimidate them into submission. This has worked for 12 millennia. Worked," Enforcer Prime Raxel muttered bitterly from his seat. He was no longer wearing his armor, and without it he looked small and old. "But this strategy has a fatal flaw," Dr. Yunji continued. "By destroying or subjugating the strongest species, you have been selecting for weakness. Every species in this council is here because they were not strong enough to resist you." She brought up comparison charts showing different species' technological development rates. Most council species took 2,000 years to develop faster than light. Travel after discovering electricity. Some took longer. They advanced slowly, cautiously. When you threatened them, they submitted because they had never learned to fight. The hologram changed, showing Earth's history. Humanity developed FTL travel in 300 years, not because we are smarter than other species, but because Earth forced us to advance quickly or die. Our planet is what xenobiologists call a death world. Images of Earth appeared. Hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, predators hunting prey. Wars between human civilizations. Earth has higher gravity than most habitable worlds. We have extreme weather that can destroy cities in hours. We have predators that hunted us for millions of years. We competed with other intelligent species like Neanderthals and absorbed or eliminated them. A council member, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish, spoke up. "We know Earth is dangerous. What is your point?" "My point," Dr. Yunji said, "is that humanity evolved in constant competition. We learned to make weapons. We learned to fight wars. We learned to innovate or die. Every challenge made us stronger. Every war pushed our technology forward." She brought up more data. In the last 200 years alone, humanity fought 2 global wars that killed hundreds of millions of people. Those wars were terrible, but they also drove massive technological advancement. We went from basic aircraft to nuclear weapons in 40 years. We went from computers the size of rooms to AI that fits in a pocket in 50 years. The chamber was silent. Every council species had peaceful histories. They had conflicts, but nothing like Earth's constant warfare. "You asked how humanity became so advanced," Dr. Yunji said. "The answer is simple. Earth never let us become comfortable. We had to keep fighting, keep innovating, keep pushing forward. You destroyed the dangerous species and kept the peaceful ones. We are the dangerous species you missed." Ambassador Hyejin stood up. "But there is more. Dr. Yunji's research team found something else. Something you have been hiding." A new hologram appeared, showing ancient records written in a script few could read. A young woman named Bora, a historian from Earth's delegation, stood up to explain. "These are council records from 8,000 years ago," Bora said. "Sealed archives that required significant technical skill to access. They described 3 other species like humanity. Species from death worlds. Species that developed fast and fought hard." The chamber erupted. Council members shouted questions. Velmora tried to silence them, but no one listened. The council destroyed all three of them. Bora continued, raising her voice over the noise. Before they could establish colonies, before they could spread, the records say these species were too aggressive, too unpredictable, too dangerous to the galactic order. Admiral Taemin stood slowly. You committed genocide 3 times, not because these species attacked you, but because you were afraid of them. They would have disrupted the peace, Velmora said defensively. They would have spread war across the galaxy, or they would have challenged your authority. Hyejin replied sharply. You destroyed them because they could not be controlled. The truth hung in the air like poison. The Galactic Council, which claimed to maintain peace, had murdered billions to preserve their own power. They were not protectors. They were tyrants. A council member from a species called the Voth stood up. They looked like tall birds with blue feathers. If this is true, then everything we believed is a lie. We are not the council's partners. We are their prisoners. Other voices joined in. Species that had paid tribute for centuries suddenly understood they had been slaves all along. The chamber descended into chaos. Admiral Taemin raised his hand. Somehow, despite the noise, people noticed. The human who had destroyed their fleet wanted to speak. The room gradually quieted. The past cannot be changed, Taemin said. 3 species are dead. Trillions of beings paid tribute they did not owe. These things happened, but we can choose what happens next. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of as many beings as he could. Humanity offers you a choice, not an ultimatum. A choice. Ambassador Hyejin brought up a holographic document. These are Earth's proposed terms for a new galactic order. We have sent copies to every species in this chamber. She read them aloud clearly and slowly so everyone could understand. First, the protection tribute ends immediately for all species. No more resource payments. No more military conscription. No more submission to council authority. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Some council members looked relieved. Others looked terrified. Without tribute, the council had no power. Second, the council transforms into a democratic federation. Every species gets equal votes. No species rules over others. Decisions are made collectively, not by decree. Third, all council technology databases are opened to every member species. No more hoarding knowledge. No more keeping species weak by controlling information. Fourth, any species may leave the Federation at any time without punishment or retribution. Membership is voluntary, not forced. Fifth, humanity will help patrol former council space for 5 years to prevent retaliation or chaos. After that, collective defense becomes the responsibility of all member species. Hyejin lowered the document. These terms are not negotiable. Either you accept them and we build something new together, or humanity withdraws from galactic affairs and you figure out the future on your own. High Arbiter Velmora laughed bitterly. You speak of democracy and choice, but you are forcing us to accept your terms. How is that different from what we did? Because our terms free you instead of enslaving you, Hyejin replied. Because we are giving you real power instead of taking it. Because we are sharing instead of hoarding, Admiral Taemin added quietly. And because if you refuse, we will simply leave. We will not destroy your worlds. We will not kill your people. We will just close our borders and let you continue as you were. The difference, High Arbiter, is that we mean it when we say you have a choice. Enforcer Prime Raxel spoke up, his voice hollow. Why do you care what happens to us? You could conquer the galaxy. Your technology, your weapons, you could rule everything. Because we remember what it is like to be bullied, Hyejin said softly. Earth's history is full of empires that conquered and enslaved. We know what that does to people. We know the suffering it causes, Taemin nodded. My grandmother lived through the resource wars on Earth. She told me stories about what it was like when powerful nations took everything from weaker ones. She taught me that strength should protect, not dominate. He stood straight, looking at every council member. Humanity could rule you, but we remember how it feels to be ruled. We fought for centuries to be free. We will not take that freedom from others, no matter how easy it would be. A long silence followed. Council members looked at each other, communicating in ways humans did not fully understand. Some seemed to be arguing. Others looked thoughtful. Finally, the Voth representative spoke. My species has paid tribute for 2,000 years. We have given away half our wealth to the council. If what you say is true, if we can be free. Her voice broke. We accept your terms, another species stood. Then another. Then? The battle lasted 90 seconds. Captain Yuri stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching her screens as the human fleet tore through the Council's defenses. She had trained for this. Every human military officer had spent years studying Council technology, looking for weaknesses. Now all that training was being put to use. Target their shield generators first, she ordered. Disable, do not destroy. We want prisoners, not corpses. The human ships moved through space like dancers, their advanced engines making them impossible to track with the Council's old targeting computers. Every human vessel had artificial intelligence helping the crew, processing information faster than any organic brain could. The AI predicted where enemy ships would move, calculated firing solutions, and adjusted shields automatically. The Council had nothing like it. Jiho, monitoring the battle from his console, called out updates. Council fleet attempting to surround us. Adjusting formation. They are firing everything they have, but none of it is getting through our shields. Their plasma weapons are useless, Yuri observed. Dr. Yunji was right. They have been using the same technology for centuries. Another Council ship took a railgun hit. This time, the round struck the ship's engine section. The ship spun out of control, unable to maneuver. It was not destroyed, just crippled. All across the battlefield, the same thing was happening. Human weapons were precise, targeted, efficient, Admiral. Yuri spoke into her communicator. The Council fleet is in complete disarray. They have never faced an enemy like us. Down on the planet, in the Grand Chamber, Admiral Taimin listened to the reports coming through his earpiece. Around him, the Council members were panicking. Their tactical displays showed the same thing. Their invincible armada was being taken apart by a tiny human force. This is impossible. Enforcer Prime Raxel shouted. No species has technology like this. Most species do not need it, Taimin replied calmly. Most species did not evolve on a planet where everything tried to kill them. Earth made us strong. Your comfortable worlds made you weak. High Arbiter Velmora was gripping the arms of her throne so hard her fingers were cutting into the stone. Continue the attack! We have thousands of ships. They only have 50. But numbers meant nothing when one side had weapons from the future, and the other side was using ancient technology. The Council fleet kept firing, but every shot missed or bounced off the human shields. Meanwhile, the human railguns never missed. Each shot disabled another Council ship. In orbit, Captain Yuri made a decision. They had proven their point. Now it was time to show the Council exactly how outmatched they were. All ships, cease fire, she ordered. Prepare for maneuver Delta 7. Her crew looked at her in surprise. Delta 7 was a demonstration maneuver, something they practiced but never used in real combat. It was designed to show off human capabilities without actually hurting anyone. Captain, her first officer asked. Are you sure? The Admiral wants to make a statement, Yuri said. Let us make it. The 50 human ships suddenly stopped fighting. They regrouped into a tight formation, moving so precisely that there was less than 50 meters between each vessel. The Council fleet, confused, stopped firing too. What were the humans doing? Then the human fleet began to move. They flew through the Council fleet like they were threading a needle. Human ships passed within meters of Council vessels, so close that the Council crews could see the human warships clearly, but the humans never touched anything. Their navigation was perfect, their control absolute. They flew in patterns, complex geometric shapes that should have been impossible to coordinate. All 50 ships moved as one, like a school of fish or a flock of birds. The Council crews watched in awe and terror. This level of coordination, this level of control, it was beyond anything they had ever seen. Jiho tracked their course. Captain, we are showing them that we could have destroyed every ship if we wanted to. We are flying through their formations to prove it. Exactly, Yuri said. Let them see what we can do. Let them understand. The human formation broke apart and reformed in seconds. Ships that had been at the back were suddenly at the front. The whole fleet rotated and spun like it was a single organism. Every movement was smooth, precise, beautiful, and terrifying at the same time. And then Captain Yuri gave the order for the final demonstration. Mr. Jiho, target the dead moon. The one on the edge of the system. The moon, Captain? Not a ship? The moon, Yuri confirmed. Fire one round. Maximum power. The Indomitable's main railgun charged up. This was not the smaller weapons they had been using against the Council ships. This was the primary weapon, designed to crack planets if necessary. Humanity had built it hoping they would never need to use it. But sometimes hope was not enough. The railgun fired. The round left the Indomitable at 0.3% light speed. It was a solid tungsten rod, 5 meters long and half a meter thick. As it flew through space, it passed through the Council fleet, threading between 47 different ships. The Council crews felt the projectile pass by. A brief tremor in their hulls as the massive object came within meters of them. The round took 8 seconds to cross the distance to the moon. When it hit, the moon exploded. The impact released so much energy that the entire moon simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a dead rock 300 kilometers across. The next moment it was an expanding cloud of debris and dust. The shock waves spread out in all directions, visible even from the planet's surface. In the grand chamber, every being stared at the tactical displays in absolute silence. They had just watched the humans thread a shot through their entire fleet without hitting anything, then destroy a moon with a single bullet. That was a warning shot, Admiral Taman said into the silence. If we wanted to destroy your fleet, it would already be dust. If we wanted to destroy Concordia Prime, we could do it from here without even entering the atmosphere. Enforcer Prime Raxel stumbled backward. His armor was shaking.
What are you?
We are humanity, Timon replied. We are what happens when a species fights for every meal, every piece of ground, every breath of air for 4 million years. We are what the galaxy forgot was possible. Captain Yuri's voice came through the communication channel again. Admiral, the Council fleet is standing down. They are surrendering. Indeed, across the orbital space, Council ships were powering down their weapons. Their commanders had seen enough. They could not win this. They could not even survive this. High Arbiter Velmora finally spoke. Her voice was hollow, broken. You planned this. All of it. We prepared for it, Taman corrected. When Ambassador Hyajin told us about your tribute demands, we studied everything we knew about Council military capability. Dr. Onji confirmed what we suspected. You have been ruling through fear, not strength. You destroy weak species and intimidate strong ones before they can spread too far. He walked closer to Velmora's platform. But humanity spread fast. We colonized 23 systems in 40 years. We built fleets. We developed weapons. By the time you decided to intimidate us, we were already too strong. He paused. You made a mistake, High Arbiter. You threatened the wrong species. Around the chamber, Council members were arguing among themselves. Some wanted to continue fighting. Others wanted to negotiate. A few looked like they wanted to run and hide. Velmora looked old suddenly, older than her 300 years. What do you want, human? To conquer us? To take our place? No, Taman said firmly.
Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy.
We just want to be left alone. Then why bring a fleet? Why attack us? Because you would not have believed words alone, Taman replied. You needed to see that humanity cannot be bullied. You needed to understand that we will defend ourselves. Jiho's voice came through the communicator. Admiral, battle time. 10 minutes and 34 seconds from first shot to surrender.
Casualties, 0 on our side.
Council side, 0 deaths, 2,347 disabled ships. Taman nodded. They had done what they came to do. They had proven humanity's strength without massacring anyone. The Council would remember this day forever. High Arbiter Velmora, Taman said formally, I have delivered humanity's answer to your demands. We will not pay tribute. We will not submit. If you attack Earth or any human colony, we will respond with overwhelming force. You cannot fight all of us, Velmora said weakly. We have millions of ships across thousands of worlds. But how many of them are actually ready to fight? Taman asked. How many are truly modern? How many would stand a chance against human technology? He let that sink in. We do not want war, High Arbiter. But if you force us to fight, we will win. Not easily, not quickly, but we will win. The chamber was silent. Everyone knew he was right. Earth offers an alternative, Taman continued. End the protection tribute for all species. Transform the Council from a dictatorship into a real democratic federation. Let every species govern themselves. In return, humanity will share some of our technology and help defend against real threats. And if we refuse? Velmora asked. Then humanity withdraws from the Council, Taman said. We close our borders. We defend our territory. And we let the galaxy figure out its own problems. He smiled grimly. But I think you will discover that many other species are tired of paying tribute too. Do you think we are doing the right thing? Hyojin thought about the record. The 50 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Concordia system. Admiral Taman stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable, watching the planet appear on the main screen. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. They all knew what was about to happen. Jiho, the young tactical analyst, looked up from his console. "Admiral, we are being scanned." "Multiple sources." "They were waiting for us." "Of course they were," Taman said calmly. "Show me what we are facing." The screen changed to show the tactical situation. Red dots appeared around Concordia Prime, each one representing a Council warship. There were hundreds of them, forming a defensive sphere around the planet. "They are not taking chances," Captain Yuri said. She commanded the Indomitable and had served with Taman for 15 years. "That is the largest Council fleet I've ever seen in one place. They want to intimidate us," Taman replied. "Let them try. All ships maintain formation. Proceed to Concordia Prime at standard approach speed." The human fleet moved forward, 50 ships against hundreds. It should have been suicide, but the humans did not slow down or turn away. They advanced like they owned the space. On Concordia Prime, in the Grand Chamber, High Arbiter Velmora watched the human ships approach. Around her, the Council members murmured nervously. Some were excited. Most were curious. A few looked worried. "The humans brought warships," one Council member said. "Do they think they can fight us?" "They are posturing," another replied, "showing strength before they kneel. It is what primitive species do." Velmora said nothing. She had lived for 300 years and led the Council for half that time. She had seen many species arrive at this chamber. Some came quietly, some came with anger, but they all knelt in the end. The humans would kneel too. The 50 human ships entered orbit around Concordia Prime. The Council fleet surrounded them immediately, weapons ready, but not active. Taman studied the alien ships on his screens. Dr. Yunji had been right. Their designs were old, inefficient. They relied on energy shields and plasma weapons, technology humanity had improved on decades ago. "They have us outnumbered 10-1, Jiho said quietly. "Numbers are not everything," Taman replied. "Prepare my shuttle. I am going down to the surface, sir. Is that wise?" Yuri asked. "If they take you hostage, then you blow every Council ship out of the sky and go home," Taman said simply. "But they will not. They want to see me kneel. They will not kill me before I have the chance." The shuttle left the Indomitable carrying Admiral Taman and a small honor guard. When they landed at the capital, they were met by the same blue-skinned guards who had escorted Ambassador He Jin weeks before. The guards looked uncertain. They were used to frightened diplomats, not military officers who walked like they were already victorious. The Grand Chamber was full. Representatives from all 847 Council species had come to witness humanity's submission. This was a ceremony, a ritual performed hundreds of times over thousands of years. Every being in the room knew how it would end. Admiral Taman entered the chamber in his formal uniform. It was dark blue with silver insignia, designed to look professional but also intimidating. He walked alone to the center of the vast floor, his footsteps echoing in the enormous space. He did not look nervous. He looked like a man who had already made his decision and was comfortable with it. High Arbiter Velmora gazed down at him from her raised platform. "Admiral Taman of Earth, you come to deliver your species' answer to our terms." "I do," Taman said. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the chamber. "Before you speak," Velmora continued, "I want you to understand what is at stake. Look around you. 847 species, millions of worlds, trillions of beings. All of them live under Council protection. All of them obey Council law." She gestured, and holograms appeared throughout the chamber. They showed the recordings again. Worlds burning, cities destroyed, oceans boiling away. 17 species refused our protection, Velmora said. 17 species chose pride over survival. Their worlds are dead now. Their names are forgotten. No one remembers them except as warnings to others. The holograms faded. The chamber was silent. "Now," Velmora said, "I will ask you the question. Does humanity accept the terms of protection tribute? Will Earth submit to Council authority?" This was the moment. Everything hung on what happened next. In orbit above the planet, Captain Yuri watched her tactical screens intensely. The Council fleet was moving into attack positions. If Taiman said the wrong thing, the shooting would start immediately. On Earth, President Sang-woo sat in his office with Dr. Yun-ji and General Kyung-soo, watching the live broadcast. Across 23 human colonies, billions of people stopped what they were doing to watch. In the Grand Chamber, Admiral Tae-min stood perfectly still. He looked up at High Arbiter Velmora. He thought about Earth. He thought about humanity's long climb from caves to the stars. He thought about all the times humans had been told they could not do something, could not survive something, could not win something, and then he smiled. No, he said, one word, simple, clear, final. The chamber erupted. Council members jumped to their feet, shouting in a dozen languages. Some were angry. Some were shocked. Many were confused. This was not supposed to happen. Species did not say no, not here. Not after seeing what the Council could do. High Arbiter Velmora stood slowly. Her stone-like face showed no emotion, but her voice shook with rage. You refuse? We refuse, Taemin confirmed. Humanity will not pay tribute. We will not submit to your authority. We will not be your slaves. Then humanity will die, Velmora said coldly. Enforcer Prime Raxel, activate the Armada. Prepare to cleanse the human infestation. A being that looked like a walking suit of armor stepped forward. This was Enforcer Prime Raxel, commander of the Council's military. He had destroyed 12 worlds personally over his career. He pressed a control on his arm, and the Council fleet around Concordia Prime came to life. Weapons activated, shields powered up, targeting systems locked onto the 50 human ships. 10,000 Council warships prepared to destroy the human fleet. In the chamber, Admiral Taimin did not seem worried. He tapped a small device on his uniform, opening a communication channel to his fleet. Captain Yuri, are you monitoring? Yes, Admiral, her voice came back. We see what they are doing. They have 10 minutes to stand down their fleet, Taemin said calmly, loud enough for everyone in the chamber to hear. If one weapon locks onto an Earth vessel, you will respond appropriately. High Arbiter Velmora laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. 10 minutes? You are surrounded by 10,000 ships. You have 50. Your arrogance is astounding. It is not arrogance, Taemin replied. It is mathematics. Around the chamber, Council members laughed too. This human was insane. 50 ships against 10,000. It was not even a fight. It was extermination. Enforcer Prime Raxel's voice boomed through the room. Human, you do not understand what you face. The Council Armada has never been defeated. We have eliminated every threat to galactic peace for 12,000 years. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. Perhaps, Taemin said. Or perhaps you have been bullying children for so long you have forgotten what happens when you threaten an adult. The laughter stopped. There was something in the Admiral's voice, something that made even the most confident Council members pause. He sounded too calm, too sure. Velmora leaned forward on her platform. You truly believe you can fight us? I know we can, Taemin said. But I am giving you a choice. Stand down your fleet. Accept that humanity will not submit, or what? Velmora demanded. Or learn why Earth is still a death world after 4 billion years, Taemin replied. Learn why humanity survived ice ages and plagues and wars that would have ended any other species. Learn why we climbed to the stars not because we were peaceful but because we were determined. In orbit, the Council fleet was ready. Weapons were hot. Targeting solutions were locked in. All they needed was the order to fire. Enforcer Prime Raxel looked at High Arbiter Velmora. She nodded once. Destroy them, she commanded. The Council fleet attacked, and everything changed. Captain Yuri saw the incoming fire on her screens. Plasma bolts and energy beams lanced out from hundreds of ships. It should have been overwhelming. It should have turned the human fleet into debris. But the humans had been expecting this. They had planned for this. All ships, defensive pattern 7, Yuri ordered calmly. Shields to maximum. Return fire authorized. The human ships moved. They were fast, far faster than the Council vessels. Their shields came up, shimmering barriers of quantum energy that the Council's primitive weapons could not penetrate. The plasma bolts and energy beams splashed against the shields harmlessly. And then the humans fired. Back railguns, weapons that used magnetic acceleration to fire solid projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The Council had no defense against them. Their energy shields were designed to stop other energy weapons, not physical objects moving at insane velocities. The first Council ship took a railgun round through its main reactor. It did not explode. The round simply passed through, leaving a hole 3 meters wide. The ship died instantly, all power lost, drifting helpless. The emergency session began at midnight. President Sang-woo stood at the podium in the United Colonial Government building in Geneva, looking out at the faces of representatives from all 23 human colonies. Some had traveled for days to be here. Others appeared as holograms, their images flickering slightly from the long-distance transmission. Everyone knew why they were here. Ambassador Hee-jin had sent her report ahead. The entire government had spent the last week reading it, analyzing it, arguing about it. Now they had to decide. Sang-woo had not slept much in those 7 days. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was strong when he spoke. Before becoming president, he had been a military strategist. He understood war. He understood sacrifice. We all know what the Galactic Council demands, he began. 40% of our resources, 30% of our military, complete submission to their authority. They have given us 23 days to answer. The room was silent. Sang-woo could see fear on many faces. He could also see anger. If we refuse, he continued, they have promised to destroy Earth and every human colony. They showed Ambassador Hee-jin recordings of 17 other species they killed. Billions of lives ended in minutes. A representative from Mars colony stood up. Her name was Subin, and she was shaking. Then we have no choice. We must accept. 40% is better than extinction. Another representative, a man named Jae-won from the Alpha Centauri colony, jumped to his feet. 40% today, 60% tomorrow. Once we submit, we are slaves forever. My ancestors did not leave Earth to bow to alien tyrants. The room erupted in argument. Voices rose, people shouted over each other. Some demanded surrender. Others called for war. Sang-woo let them argue for several minutes, then hit the button that made a loud chime echo through the chamber. Order, he said firmly. We will have order. The room quieted down. Sang-woo gestured to a woman sitting near the front. Dr. Yoonji, please share your findings. Dr. Yoonji was Earth's chief scientific advisor. She specialized in quantum physics and had spent the last week analyzing every piece of data humanity had about the Galactic Council. She walked to the podium with a data tablet in her hands. I have discovered something interesting, she said, her voice calm and clear. And by interesting, I mean shocking. A hologram appeared above the podium showing technical diagrams and numbers. Most people in the room could not understand them, but Dr. Yoonji explained in simple terms. When humanity joined the Galactic Council 47 years ago, we assumed they were more advanced than us. After all, they had faster-than-light travel first. They had thousands of worlds. They seemed so much more powerful. She paused, letting that sink in. But I've been comparing their technology to ours, their weapons, their ships, their computers, and I found something strange. She looked around the room. We are better than them. Much better. Confused whispers spread through the chamber. Dr. Yoonji brought up new images, side-by-side comparisons of human and alien technology. Human ships are faster. Human weapons are more powerful. Human computers are smarter. In the last 47 years, our technology has advanced at a rate 40 times faster than the galactic average. How is that possible? Someone asked. Because Earth is a death world, Dr. Yoonji replied. Compared to most planets in the Council, Earth is incredibly dangerous. Higher gravity, extreme weather, predators everywhere. Humans evolved in constant competition. Most alien species evolved as prey animals. They developed intelligence to hide and cooperate, not to fight and conquer. She changed the image again, showing Earth's history. Wars and conflicts spanning thousands of years. Humanity has been fighting since the beginning. We fought for food, for land, for survival. Every war pushed our technology forward. The Council species never had that pressure. They advanced slowly, comfortably. They became weak. General Kyung-soo, the head of Colonial Defense Forces, stood up. He was a large man with scars on his face from his time as a combat pilot. Are you saying we could fight them? I am saying their weapons are 200 years behind ours, Dr. Yoonji said. I am saying their invincible armada uses energy shields we could break through easily. I am saying that if this came to war, humanity has advantages they do not expect. The room exploded with voices again. This time, though, the tone was different. People were not just afraid anymore. They were thinking, calculating, wondering. Nari, the young diplomat who had accompanied Jin, asked for permission to speak. Sang-woo nodded and she stood up nervously. There is something else, Nari said. Something Ambassador Jin noticed. The Council destroyed 17 species, but all of them were destroyed before they could spread to multiple star systems. They were killed when they were still on their home planets. What does that mean? Someone asked. It means the Council targets species early, Nari explained. Before they become too strong. Before they have colonies and fleets. They destroy civilizations when they are vulnerable. She looked around the room. But humanity already has 23 colonies. We already have fleets across multiple systems. We are not vulnerable anymore. Admiral Taemin, who had been sitting quietly in the back, finally spoke up. The Council rules through fear. They show recordings of destroyed worlds to scare species into submission. But those recordings are all at least 300 years old. When was the last time they actually destroyed someone who could fight back? Never, Dr. Yoonji said quietly. As far as we can tell, never. The implications hung in the air. The Council was a bully who only picked on the weak. They had ruled for 12,000 years, not through strength, but through intimidation. And now they had made a mistake. They had threatened a species that could actually fight back. Subin, the representative who had called for surrender earlier, stood up again. This is insane. Even if we are more advanced, they have thousands of worlds, millions of ships. We are one species. How can we possibly win? We cannot win a long war, General Kyung-soo admitted. But we might not need to. If we can prove we are not afraid, if we can show that we will fight, maybe they will back down. And if they do not back down, Subin demanded, if they commit everything to destroying us, then we die on our feet instead of living on our knees, Jae-won said firmly. President Sang-woo raised his hand for silence. The question before us is simple. Do we trust the Council's threats or do we trust our own strength? Do we accept slavery or do we risk everything for freedom? He let the question sit for a moment. I have heard arguments on both sides. I have seen Dr. Yoonji's research. I have read every report, every analysis. He straightened his shoulders. Now we must vote. Not just the government, but representatives from every colony. This decision affects all of humanity, so all of humanity should have a voice. The voting took 2 hours. Each representative stood and cast their vote publicly. Some voted to accept the Council's terms, tears running down their faces as they chose survival over pride. But more voted to refuse, many more. When the final count came in, it was not even close. 73% voted to refuse the Council's demands. Sang-woo looked at the results and felt a weight settle on his shoulders. He had just led humanity to either its greatest victory or its total extinction. There was no middle ground anymore. The vote is decided, he announced. Humanity will refuse. Now we must decide who will deliver our answer. Admiral Taemin stood up from his seat. I will do it. Admiral, you are too valuable to risk, General Kyung-soo protested. Exactly, Taemin said. If we send a junior officer, the Council will think we are not serious. If we send Admiral of the First Fleet, they will understand this is not negotiable. He smiled grimly. Besides, I want to see their faces when we say no. Ambassador Hyejin, who had been silent through most of the session, finally spoke. Admiral Taemin is right. This is not a diplomatic message. This is a line in the sand. It should be delivered by a warrior. Sang-woo considered this. Everything was happening so fast. A week ago, Earth was at peace. Now they were preparing for possible war with a civilization that had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. Very well, Sang-woo said. Admiral Taemin will deliver humanity's response to the Galactic Council at Concordia Prime. He will take a fleet. A large one. We will not sneak in quietly. How large? General Kyung-soo asked. 50 ships, Taemin said immediately. Enough to make a statement. Not enough to look like an invasion. And what will you say to them? Subin asked quietly. She had voted for surrender, but now she looked resigned to what was coming. Admiral Taemin smiled. It was not a kind smile. I will tell them one word. The same word humans have been saying to bullies for our entire history. He looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes. No. The word echoed in the silent chamber. Simple. Final. Absolute. President Sang-woo nodded slowly. Then it is decided. Admiral, you have 15 days to prepare your fleet. On the 16th day, you will return to Concordia Prime and deliver humanity's answer. Yes, sir, Taemin said. The session ended. Representatives left quietly, some to pray, some to prepare for war, some to simply hold their families close. Earth had made its choice. In 15 days, the galaxy would learn that humanity could not be intimidated. As the chamber emptied, Nari walked over to Ambassador He-Jin. The stars looked different from here. Ambassador He-Jin stood at the viewing port of her shuttle, watching Concordia Prime grow larger in the window. The planet was beautiful, with rings of silver and gold that caught the light of 3 distant suns. She had been to many alien worlds in her 5 years as Earth's chief diplomat, but this place made her nervous. 47 years ago, humanity had learned they were not alone. The first alien ship appeared over Tokyo and everything changed. The visitors called themselves the Galactic Council. They seemed friendly. They offered membership, trade, and knowledge. Earth agreed quickly, eager to join the great community of stars. Now He-Jin knew better. Her assistant, a young woman named Nari, walked over with a data tablet. Ambassador, we're getting strange readings from the planet. The Council has more ships here than usual. Military ships, He-Jin frowned. This was supposed to be a simple meeting. The Council had called it routine business. But nothing about this felt routine. She had asked Admiral Taemin to stay close with his fleet just in case. The Admiral was somewhere in the outer system, hidden but ready. Tell the pilot to proceed as planned, He-Jin said, but keep our communications open to the fleet. The shuttle descended through Concordia Prime's atmosphere. The capital city stretched below them like a jewel, with towers that reached into the clouds and streets that glowed with soft light. Millions of beings from hundreds of worlds lived here. It was the center of galactic civilization, the heart of peace and order, or so they claimed. 2 council guards met them at the landing platform. They were tall, thin creatures with blue skin and too many joints in their arms. They did not speak, just gestured for He-Jin and her small team to follow. Nari stayed close to the ambassador, her hand near the small weapon at her belt. Earth's security protocols were clear. Diplomats could defend themselves if needed. The grand chamber was enormous. The ceiling vanished into darkness high above, and the walls curved away in all directions. Seats rose in tiers filled with beings of every shape and color imaginable. At the center on a raised platform sat the High Arbiter Velmora. She was ancient. Her species had ruled the Council for 4,000 years. Her skin was like polished stone and her eyes were cold. Ambassador He-Jin of Earth, Velmora's voice echoed through the chamber. Welcome. We have much to discuss. He-Jin bowed slightly the way humans showed respect. Thank you, High Arbiter. Earth is honored by your invitation. Velmora made a sound that might have been laughter. Around the chamber, other council members stirred. Something was wrong. He-Jin could feel it in her bones. Let us not waste time with pleasantries, Velmora said. Humanity has been part of our community for 47 of your years. You have learned from us. You have traveled the star roads we maintain. You have enjoyed the peace we enforce. Yes, He-Jin said carefully. And Earth is grateful. Gratitude is insufficient, Velmora replied. Every species in this council contributes to the greater good. Every species pays for the protection we provide. The time has come for humanity to accept its responsibilities. The word responsibilities hung in the air like a threat. He-Jin felt Nari tense beside her. What kind of responsibilities? He-Jin asked. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, floating above the floor. Numbers scrolled past, too fast to read. Then the image changed, showing charts and graphs. He-Jin's translator worked quickly, converting the alien symbols into something she could understand. The numbers made her blood run cold. 40% of all resources, Velmora said, from every human world, every mine, every farm, every factory. 40% comes to the council. 30% of your military assets, another council member added. This one looked like a floating ball of gas with eyes. Your ships, your weapons, your soldiers, they serve the council's peace. And complete submission to council authority, Velmora finished. All human laws, all human governments must be approved by us. This is the price of membership. This is protection tribute. The chamber fell silent. He-Jin felt like she had been punched in the stomach. This was not membership. This was slavery. I need to consult with my government, He-Jin managed to say. Of course, Velmora said, and now there was definitely cruelty in her voice. We are not unreasonable. But perhaps you need motivation to deliver the correct answer. Another hologram appeared. This time it showed a planet. A world with blue oceans and green continents not unlike Earth. Cities sparkled on the night side. Ships moved in orbit. It looked peaceful and alive. Then it changed. The planet's surface erupted in fire. The cities vanished in blinding flashes. The oceans boiled away. Within seconds, the world was nothing but a blackened, dead rock spinning in space. The Kathir refused our terms, Velmora explained. This was 300 years ago. We have 17 such recordings. 17 species who chose and made it poorly. The hologram showed more planets, more destruction. Worlds turned to ash and glass. Billions of lives ended in moments. The Council's message was clear. Obey or die. He Jin's hands were shaking. She forced them to be still. She was Earth's ambassador. She could not show fear. Not here, not now. How long do we have to decide? She asked. 30 of your standard days, Velmora said. Return to Earth, speak to your leaders. Make them understand reality. The Council is eternal. The Council is inevitable. Resistance is extinction. The meeting ended quickly after that. The guards escorted Heejin and Nari back to their shuttle. No one spoke until they were off the planet, racing back toward the outer system where Admiral Taemin's fleet waited. Nari finally broke the silence. They're serious. They'll kill everyone on Earth. I know, Hyojin said quietly. What are we going to do? Heejin thought about Earth, about the mountains and oceans, the cities full of people who had no idea what was coming. She thought about the 23 human colonies scattered across different stars. Millions of lives depending on what happened next. She opened a secure communication channel to Admiral Taemin. His face appeared on the screen, weathered and serious. He had fought in the border skirmishes, the small conflicts between human colonies and pirates. He knew war. Admiral, Heejin said, her voice steady now. We have a problem. A big one. I'm listening, Taemin replied. The Council wants 40% of everything we have. They want control of our military. They want to rule Earth. She paused. And if we refuse, they'll destroy us like they destroyed 17 other species. Taemin was quiet for a moment. Behind him, she could see Jiho, his young tactical analyst, working at a computer station. The crew of the flagship was already moving, preparing for something. Did they give you a deadline? Taemin asked. 30 days. Then we have 30 days to figure out how to survive. The Admiral's expression was grim but determined. Get back to Earth, Ambassador. Tell them everything. I'll keep the fleet on alert. Do you think we can fight them? Heejin asked. Taemin smiled, but it was not a happy smile. I think we're about to find out what humanity is really made of. Taemin out. The screen went dark. Hyojin sat back in her chair, exhausted. Nari brought her water, but she could not drink. Her mind was racing, thinking about impossible choices and terrible consequences. The shuttle jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving Concordia Prime behind. In 30 days, everything would change. One way or another, humanity's place in the galaxy would be decided. Hyojin stared out at the stars rushing past and whispered to herself, They're not asking. They're taking. But Earth had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. Humanity had faced extinction before and always found a way to keep going. Maybe, just maybe, they would find a way again. The journey home took 3 days. 3 days to prepare for the most important message Hyojin would ever deliver. When Earth came into view, beautiful and blue against the darkness, she made a decision. Whatever happened next, humanity would not face it on their knees.